Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 tips for beginners on how to lose fat. If you see me looking down at all in this video, it's because I have my phone right here and I have some notes on what I want to cover in this video. But before I get into the tips, I just want to give you a brief background on my history with weight and weight loss. I've been overweight for the majority of my life and I've struggled with it for as long as I can remember. It's one of my biggest insecurities, and it's something that I'm working on quite a bit to, one, change about myself, lose the fat, but two, work on myself mentally and get over that insecurity. But over the last 6 or 7 years, I've had varying levels of success when it comes to fat loss. You know, I'd lose 5 pounds here, 10 pounds there. There were even a few times where I would lose, 15 or 20 pounds, but it would usually be in such an extreme way that I would end up falling off, giving up, and then putting the weight back on. But about a year and a half or 2 years ago, something changed, and I just decided I'd had enough of being overweight, and that I wanted to make the change and keep the weight off and actually lose all of the fat instead of just getting to 10 pounds or something. And over the last 7 years or so, since I've been trying to lose the fat, I've been doing a lot of research, a lot of learning about fitness, nutrition, just overall health, and it's something that I've become very interested in and very passionate about. But like I said, until about 2 years ago, I never was able to really start applying what I knew to myself. But I've been doing fairly well. I've lost about 37 pounds in the last year and a half or 2 years. I lost most of it in the first 5 months or so, and then I kind of maintained my weight there for a few months, and I've just been getting back into losing the fat, or losing more fat in the last month and a half to 2 months, and I'm having some success with it. But if I can share some tips and help some people out that maybe don't know as much about it, or maybe want to get into it or don't know how to start, then that would be awesome. I'd love to be able to help people out, teach them a couple things, maybe inspire someone to make a change in their life like I'm making in my life. In my last video on my channel, I gave a much more in-depth history of my life and my struggles with weight. So if you're interested in hearing a lot more about that stuff, I would really appreciate it if you went and checked out that video. But with that being said, let's get into the 5 tips for how to lose fat for beginners. Getting into fitness, and especially fat loss, can be extremely overwhelming. There's all kinds of information out there, some of it better than other information, but it can be really overwhelming. Where do you start? What's the best approach? Well, I'm about to give you 5 simple tips for how to get started with fat loss. I want to keep this video fairly simple, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about any of the tips, but if that's something you'd be interested in seeing in future videos, let me know in the comments down below. Tip number 1 is just make smarter choices when it comes to what you're eating. Everyone knows that a cheeseburger from McDonald's is a lot less healthy than a salad with chicken or chicken and rice. So just make smart choices. And I'm not saying you have to completely cut out all of the bad food that you might enjoy. No, just reduce it. Maybe if you eat 2 unhealthy meals a day, try to go to 1 unhealthy meal a day. And then from there, try to make it 1 unhealthy meal every other day. And from there, try to make it a cheat meal every 3 days, and then a cheat meal once a week. Try to replace it with foods that you enjoy, though. Don't just replace it with foods that you know are healthy, but that you really don't enjoy, because that's not sustainable. So pick a way of eating that's enjoyable and sustainable for you, but is healthy enough to facilitate fat loss. Tip number 2 is drink more water. Make sure you're well hydrated. I'm sure some of you have heard people say that you should try to drink a gallon of water a day, and that is actually a very good piece of advice. But for someone that doesn't drink very much water at all, that might sound overwhelming. You might think that there's no way you can drink a gallon of water a day. I know for me, before I got into really trying to lose fat, if I drank a glass of water a day, that was a lot of water for me, so I was really dehydrated. I went from that to filling up a gallon jug of water every morning, and then I know that by the end of the day, I have that much water that I need to finish. But for some people, going straight to a gallon of water a day might sound overwhelming. So one tip that you can use is just drink a glass of water with every meal. So at breakfast, have a glass of water. Lunch, have a glass of water. You get the idea, same thing with snacks, have a glass of water. That's one really easy way to remember to drink enough water. Being well hydrated has all kinds of benefits, but when it comes to fat loss, probably the most important benefit is that your body can't tell the difference between hunger and thirst. So if you're well hydrated, most likely you won't get hungry as often, which makes it much easier to limit the amount of food that you eat in a day. Being well hydrated will also help with your energy levels. It helps to maintain them at an even level throughout the day so you don't get those crashes and those highs throughout the day. Tip number 3 is incorporate some resistance training into your routine. Resistance training, also known as weight training, is probably the most beneficial type of training for fat loss. The reason it's so beneficial for fat loss is that it builds lean muscle mass. Lean muscle mass burns through fuel or food more quickly than fat tissue does. And so by burning through food more quickly, it actually speeds up your metabolism, which in turn burns more fat. Building muscle also improves your body composition, which basically means the way that you look. So even though your weight on the scale might not be changing all that much, if you're putting on a lot of muscle and losing fat, you will look very different. For example, you could take two people that weigh the same amount, but look completely different because one of them has a lot more muscle mass and the other one has a lot more fat. Now, I'm not saying that resistance training is the only type of training that you should incorporate in your training program. The best training program is a combination of resistance training and some form of cardiovascular training. But if you're just getting into fat loss and maybe you don't go to the gym at all right now, try to get to the gym a couple times a week and do some weights. And don't get too obsessed or overwhelmed with what exercises you should be doing and how many reps. Focus on the basics, learn good form, and then build from there. Tip number 4 is make sure you get enough sleep. You should be trying to get between 7.5 and 9 hours of sleep a night, but really anything less than about 8 hours probably isn't as good. Sleep is extremely important for all aspects of your life, especially for fat loss. For your body to burn fat, it requires a lot of energy, and sleep is essentially your body's way of replenishing the energy that it needs in order to burn fat. So if you don't get enough sleep, your body doesn't have enough energy to burn the fat that you'd like to lose. Sleep is also the time that your body recovers from the resistance training workouts that you've been doing. Tip number 5 is probably the most important tip of this entire video, and it is don't stress over the little things. If you make one mistake and you eat one bad meal that you know you shouldn't have, or you miss a workout, don't stress too much over it. Don't give up and just say forget it because you made one small mistake. One bad meal or one missed workout isn't going to ruin all of your progress. But if that one bad meal or one missed workout turns into a month of poor decisions, a month of missed workouts, a month of eating unhealthy again, that will definitely stop your progress and possibly even reverse some of it. At the end of the day, losing weight is more about a healthy lifestyle than obsessing over the little things and suffering and eating things that you don't really enjoy. The key to being successful for long-term fat loss and keeping the fat off is to find a style of eating that you both enjoy, but is also healthy and allows you to lose the fat that you want to lose. So don't miss out on things like going out with your friends, having dinner with your family, doing anything that you would like to do just because you're trying to lose fat. That is a sure way to fall off very quickly. So there it is, 5 tips for how to lose fat for beginners. I tried to keep the video pretty short and sweet. I didn't want to go into too much detail about things, but I hope that you did learn a thing or two, and maybe you got inspired to try and make a change in your life. But at the end of the day, like I said in tip number 5, the main goal is a healthy lifestyle. Find an eating style that you enjoy and can sustain for years to come, and remember that if you're overweight now, you didn't become overweight overnight. So, just like you didn't become overweight overnight, you're not gonna lose the weight overnight either. It's a long process. So it's important to find something that you can do for hopefully the rest of your life. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you took something away from it. Thank you for watching. If you did learn something, or you enjoyed it, or you got inspired, I'd really appreciate it if you could give the video a thumbs up. If you want me to go into more detail about any of the topics, or if there's any other questions you have about fat loss, fitness, anything like that, leave them in the comments below, and I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.